You're listening to Systemic Era Podcast. The failure was designed.
Trump is richer than he's ever been and loving the presidency. Americans not so much, based on an article by Adam Lynch. Trump is not living his best life. He is extracting rent from the state. The real subject is power. Jonathan Swan's portrait of Trump as a rich narcissist lounging between flatterers is only the surface. The deeper fact is institutional capture. Trump enters this term with a sweeping immunity decision from the Supreme Court and total command over his party. That is not a personality story. It is a power story. When a president can force his own party to obey, then the party is no longer a check on executive power. It is an instrument of it. The article stumbles toward the truth, but keeps circling Trump's moods, habits, and appetite for praise instead of naming the structure that makes his behavior effective. Who enabled this? The key decision makers are not the people in the Mar-a-Lago patio theater. They are the institutions that removed restraints and the Republicans who surrendered to him. The Supreme Court supplied the legal cover. His party supplied the political obedience. Together they made his conduct less a scandal than a business model. That is the part the story almost gets right. Trump is using power in the ways that he wants to without much pushback. Exactly. The absence of pushback is the headline. Everything else is set dressing. The grift is the point. The article notes that Trump's family is making inordinate sums of money from the presidency and that he has even gotten a new jet from the Qataris. That is not incidental corruption around the edges. That is the presidency functioning as a private enrichment vehicle. This is how authoritarian politics launders itself in plain sight. The leader is treated as a force of nature, while the concrete acts of extraction are described as his lifestyle. But the meaning is simpler and uglier. State power is being converted into personal wealth, and the institutions around him are normalizing it. The framing dulls the crime. The source contrasts Trump's comfort with the misery of ordinary Americans facing higher gas prices, higher grocery prices, stagnant wages, and mounting credit card and payday loan debt. That contrast matters, but the framing softens responsibility by turning structural harm into a vague economic drift. The article's own language points to the real issue. People are being squeezed while Trump's circle gets richer. That is not random bad weather. It is a distributional outcome of who holds power and who gets protected by it. The political class keeps telling Americans to absorb the pain as if it were impersonal. It is not. It is administered. The poll numbers are not a mystery. The story says Trump's poll numbers are disastrous among occasional voters, Latinos, and working-class white voters. That should not be read as a simple popularity problem. It is a consequence problem. People can feel the gap between the propaganda and the paycheck. They can see that the presidency is enriching Trump while their own budgets are being shredded. They can also see that the party meant to constrain him often behaves like a captive audience. Voters are not confused. They are responding to a political system that rewards theft, spectacle, and loyalty over governing. The pattern is oligarchic rule with a theatrical face. The broader pattern is familiar, a straw man at the center, institutions that accommodate him, and the public left to absorb the costs. The court blesses him. His party obeys him. His allies flatter him. His family profits. The country pays more for food and fuel and gets less healthcare security in return. That is the regime underneath the jokes, the podcast banter, and the palace gossip. Trump's pleasure is not the story. The story is that American institutions are still letting a president turn public power into private gain while ordinary people finance the damage. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article. With the automated voice of Sam, thanks for listening.